Okay, today we're going to show you how to replace a hot surface igniter. As you can see, this hot surface igniter is highly carboned and is failed. When you start to see them with a lot of carbon buildup like this, it's an early indication of their failure. So what we'll do now is we're going to unscrew the hot surface igniter from the base plate, and I'm going to get that off, and then we'll show you some more here in just a second. Okay, so we pulled the old one off, and as you can see, it's screwed on to its housing. So you're going to want to remove the hot surface igniter from this metal bracket, and then you're going to check to make sure that your new one is the exact voltage and the exact amp draw as your last one. This particular one here is an OEM match. However, what you'll find is the connectors. Over the years, manufacturers change these connectors. So in this case, we're going to cut off the old connector and cut off the new connector, and then we will be splicing this old connector onto this new hot surface igniter, and we'll show you that here in just a second. Take it apart and we'll show you that. Okay, so we've got the unit loose from its housing, and so now I'm going to cut the bracket old connector off. I'm going to give myself plenty of room, and sorry about that. Okay, so I've got the other part clipped off. I've stripped the ends so that we can make a good connection. This is a heat-proof coating around it. It's made of poly fiber, and you're going to want to strip that back and make nice clean metal connections on the end. And then we'll do the same with the new hot surface igniter, which we'll show you here. Now make sure that when you are dealing with the new hot surface igniter, that you do not touch the igniter. The metal piece here on the end, you do not want to touch that with your fingers whatsoever, because if you touch it, the oil from your fingers, even though very small amount, will cause this to break. These are very, very fragile and break very, very easily. So be very, very careful not to let it touch anything. I usually hold the foam piece around it while I'm cutting or making any different connections, just to make sure that it stays clean and does not have any damage. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that ends off, and I'll show you what connectors to use. We'll be right back. Okay, so I've got the old connector. I'm going to tie it onto the new one. These are ceramic wire nuts. Do not use regular wire nuts. They will cause a fire. So you want to make sure that both ends are even, and you can recommend twisting them so that they're permanently together regardless of the wire nut. And we're going to put that on, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so we got the wire nuts on. It'll look something like this, and now you want to carefully put this back in its bracket. This is going to take two hands, so I'm going to put it back in its bracket and kind of show you how we did that. Now, once you've got it back in its bracket, you're going to want to make sure that it fits properly, you're going to do a dry fit, and you have to be very careful not to touch anything when you're putting it back. So I'll kind of show you that. I'm going to take two hands, so let me put it back and I'll show you what it looks like. Now in this case, because it's slightly different, alignment is going to have to be perfect. So you're going to want to make sure that nothing is touching. In this case, you can see here that it is making contact with the metal. If I were to connect it right now, this would break because it would make contact with the metal and instantly break the new hot surface igniter. So I'm going to readjust my alignment and make sure that the hot surface igniter is not touching anything, and that is free and clear and right and directly in the path of the gas, so it ignites it perfectly. So let me make the adjustment and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so I've made my adjustment. As you can see, now we have clearance all the way around the hot surface igniter, and let's see if we can see it from this side here. It's not touching anything, and is in this particular case, this manufacturer puts it just slightly off to the side, but it's going to be hot enough to ignite it. Some manufacturers put them directly in the path of the burner, but the most important thing is that the hot surface igniter is not touching anything whatsoever. So now we will start it up and show you what will happen. Let me make a few connections and we'll be right back. Okay, so I've made my connections here. They're just little quick connectors, and you want to make sure that they're good and tight fit. Make sure that your wire nuts are secure, out of the way, and then we're going to start her up. It takes a few seconds. The draft inducer has to make sure that the pressure switch is pulling in, sends the signal down to the board, let it know to turn on the hot surface igniter, and there we go. If you've done your job correctly, it should ignite without any problem. But if you are touching anything at this point, you'll see a pop, and it will destroy the igniter, and you'll have to start all over again. So let's watch your fire, and I'll test it a few times, turning it off and on, making sure that everything works properly. And if you have any questions, as always, like and subscribe, and feel free to message me. I'll be more than happy to help you with anything. And thanks for watching. Have a great day.